right, we are live. Don't have anybody in the chat yet, so we're going to be hanging tight for a little bit, and we're just going to keep plugging away. Make sure that all these things are good to go. Once we get people in the chat, we will be starting to build this thing. If I don't see anybody in the next 5-10 minutes, I'll probably just get started. I'm saying all of this. Nobody's here right now. I'm saying this in case you, potential viewer, decide to come and watch this at a later date so that you can kind of get an idea of what to expect here. So I will briefly touch point on like what we're going to be doing today and how we're going to be doing it. But first and foremost, I'm Nate Whittington. I'm the one who created Dungeoneering and its expansions and adventures and mega dungeon and setting and blah, 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 all the other stuff. Let's see. Today we're going to be looking at the core rules, the Wanderers expansion, this bad boy. And then we're going to be also looking at the catalysts draft here. You can see it says Dungeoneering Wanderers because I haven't changed the name of the export yet. This is a work in progress draft, so obviously some things might change. You'll notice that there's some missing art in some places, like here, evidenced by a very large pink rectangle. So some things will be missing here. All the content, barring the tables, because we're doing Table Tuesday, so every Tuesday people will be able to come in and vote on a couple options for the tables that are going to be in this. Everything barring the tables is complete, and the tables are, I'd say, 95% complete, and they just require some swaps, right? Just some things here and there that will be swapped out depending on community votes. So that being said, we're going to start off with Dungeoneering, and you can see here's the table of contents for Dungeoneering. Let me see if I can scooch my screen down a little bit. Bring me way down here. There we go. That's probably fine. You'll see that we've got about 64 pages here or there. The main pieces we're going to be using are from page 24, dungeon types, all the way down until we get to the starter dungeon. On Wanderers, we're going to be kind of doing the same thing. We'll be looking at the different dungeon types, and then we might include some tables here. And then for catalysts, same deal. We're going to be looking at the tables, the room features, all the way down to monster traits. We're going to be deciding all of those things together today. So Dungeoneering is meant to be a quick and dirty, sort of like get into the thick of it as quickly as possible. The rules are these 2 pages effectively. There's more advanced rules if you go past the classes. You can go here, some additional rules that are more specific to like increasing and decreasing stat scores, how do you play solo, magic and scrolls, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is here. So we'll probably not be using a ton of this stuff because we're going to be building a dungeon. We're not necessarily playing. But yeah, all the rules for Dungeoneering are effectively here in these 2 pages, which means that it's very, very easy to get started. But this is not a video about how to play Dungeoneering. This is a video on building a dungeon. We're going to be using Dungeon Scrawl. It's app.dungeonscrawl.com. It used to be on itch. I believe that now links directly to this webpage. We're going to be using this because I just think it's neat. I can kind of just go, oh, a 5x5, boom. And look at that, very official looking sort of dungeon here. And then we can carve out some specific places too. We can be like, oh, actually, this whole corner of the room is gone. So is this one. This is a very strange room, right? So that's kind of cool. Could do that. We can also do like some shapes too if we want to do some weird angles. That's kind of nice. And then of course it allows you to do, Control Z undo all the way to the beginning. So with that being said, yeah. So Dungeoneering, the core rules, has a section on generating a dungeon. First of all, it has a section on what is a dungeon and the way the Dungeoneering sort of, kind of delineates what types of dungeons are what. We have a burrow, which is generally like, a one-shot sort of like 5-room dungeon sort of experience that you've probably seen in other places. A dungeon, proper capital D dungeon, is 1 to 2 levels, 11 to 20 rooms, kind of spread between those 2 levels, and have multiple factions of monsters, usually like 2, right? Nothing too crazy. And maybe there's some like little side objectives that you can complete in the dungeon, some sort of small stuff like that. And then of course you have the mega dungeon, right, which is 10 or more levels, hundreds of rooms, those sorts of things. So we're not going to be building a mega dungeon today because that would take way too long. But we're going to be kind of aiming to go into this dungeon area here, just so you can get a general experience as to what creating a dungeon in Dungeoneering is like, how fast it can be, and how relatively little stuff you actually need to get started, right? There's obviously some information here on like some considerations you should have, atmosphere and pacing, how to kind of keep an eye on that sort of thing, secrets and clues, how to include those sorts of things. Those are popularized by Mike Shea, aka Sly Flourish, kind of a big name in the D&D 5e space and elsewhere. He's kind of transitioned to a more widespread RPG kind of guy. But beyond that, then we get right into the dungeon types. In the core rules of Dungeoneering, there are 6 types, I believe. There's the forest, the desert, volcano, ice, sky. So those are kind of like our top 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Excellent. Wanderers included 4 more. So once we get past that, we have the crypt, the hells, the fairy realms, and the strange. And strange is sort of like our, far realms, sort of alien geometry sort of place. Catalyst does not have any extra dungeon types, mostly because I feel like I kind of encapsulated the most popular ones with the first 10, the 6 in Dungeoneering, the 4 in Wanderers. So Catalyst doesn't really necessarily add any more to that, but we do have a lot more tables to generate some things that will be found in the dungeons, monuments and statues, people who are in the dungeon, so on and so forth. I don't know exactly how deep we're going to be going in terms of the actual populating the dungeon. I don't know if we're going to be including like creating NPCs and creating their secrets and clues and having all those sorts of things, but we can figure out some monsters and kind of just lightly flesh them out. More sort of like high level idea than get into the nitty gritty with stat blocks and stuff like that. I see that somebody else is in the live chat, so thanks for joining. Feel free to leave a comment if you would like. We have just gotten started. You haven't missed much. Basically, me just kind of going over what these books do and what we're going to be trying to do today, which is build a dungeon using the tools found in the 3 Dungeoneering books. I also have some coffee to keep myself awake and ready and, alert. So I may be taking some sips here and there, such as right now. All right. So getting into it. The first thing you want to do when you're creating a dungeon in Dungeoneering is you're going to want to kind of figure out where your dungeon is going to be, right? The general overall, kind of like the theme is another way to put it. Now, I'm going to be rolling some beautiful math rocks, some physical math rocks here. And we'll need a D6. We'll probably go ahead and get a couple of them. So I will get another one, and why the hell not? We'll get a third one. Just in case. You never know what you're going to need. Vortec, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming in and popping by and saying hi, checking out what's going on. So like I said, we're going to figure out where our dungeon is going to be. For the sake of brevity, I am going to just use the dungeon types that are here in the core rules of Dungeoneering. You, of course, can go into Wanderers and you can do those if you would like. But for our sake, we're going to be using the core ones that are introduced here. So I'm going to roll a d6 to try to determine which dungeon type we're going to use. So I'm going to do that now. I think I need like a little dice tray so you guys can hear like the clickety clackety. Just give me 1 second while I go grab it. It's right up here. All right, grab one of these. Get all of our junk off of it. Yeah, you like that? Clickety clack. Let's do some math. All right. Math, not meth. That'd be not so great. This is not rated for kids, by the way, so maybe don't share this with your children. Give them the Spark Notes afterwards. All right, so we are going to roll a d6. We're going to try to figure out what our dungeon type is to start with. Got a 1. So there's a 1 as evidenced here. I don't know if you can see that, but that is a 1. So we're going to be sticking with the forest. Deep in the timberland, hidden away from the civilized world, are forgotten ruins and lost places beckoning exploration. Now, when you pick a dungeon type, you don't have to specifically say, oh, the whole thing is happening in the dungeon, right? Or the volcano or whatever. It just means like it's lightly themed around that concept. So in the forest, we're going to be looking at things like beasts, right? Like wolves, bears, those sorts of things. Goblins, goblinoid kind of creatures. Stuff that's going to be, widely found in the wilderness and those sorts of stuff. So we're in the forest. We can go ahead and roll some of these tables, right? What is it? Who occupies it? What rewards are there? And just for fun, we'll figure out what plants may be here. Maybe a specific plant that might help us kind of like seed our dungeon down the line. So what is it? Let's roll a d6 and figure it out. 4, a magical forested maze with trees as tough as stone. Now that's interesting. I wonder if maybe we have like the trees themselves serve as sort of like the walls of this maze, right? Like it's just a very dense forest that's growing up, and these trees are so old that the bark is basically petrified. That'll be great. We'll keep that. And we're going to be saying who occupies it. So rolling another d6. We got a 5. No one, but it's filled to the gills with traps. That makes it easier for this, for sure. I don't have to figure out a bunch of monsters and stuff. We can still kind of play around with that once we get there, but so this is a large, sort of abandoned labyrinth of dense, stone-hard trees. Very ominous. What rewards are there, if I can talk? Let's figure that out on a d6. 3, equipment and tools from pilfered caravans. Okay, so maybe this is sort of like the extra dimensional space, or some sort of like, I don't know, like a hidden nook or niche that something is using as a place to kind of store all their junk, right? All the stuff that they're stealing from other caravans and stuff. They're kind of using this space to hide it. And it's a labyrinth to kind of keep people from, stealing it back, right? And then we'll just roll what plant is this, just because I think it's a little fun. We can figure out something that might give us a little bit of flavor just for, for our sake. And we got a 6. Rot vine consumes corpses, bones and all. Okay, all right, interesting. So now we have a large petrified forest maze that's kind of acting like a storage space that something is using to hide all their pilfered little goodies, all their treasures and trinkets that they're stealing from all these different caravans. And in case anybody does manage to get in here, there is a shitload of rot vine that is all over the place, that is, taking in corpses, bones and all, for anybody who is foolish enough to arrive here in the dungeon. So we have that now. We have a kind of general idea of what this is going to look like. This is all very high level, right? We haven't really figured out any sort of like spacing of anything. We haven't really figured out like where anything's going to be, who's, here, who the person is that is using this as storage. All that stuff we can figure out as we develop it. So we can skip through some of these. We can go straight to the assembling the dungeon spread. So it's just 2 pages, right? Pretty simple stuff. And then we'll be able to figure out the starting room, side passages, so on and so forth until we get to inhabitants. Now, inhabitants, we did say that no one is here. I take that to mean that there is no one living here, right? Because we can go back and we can see from the other parts of the table, we've got the Elk Lord and his menagerie of woodland beasts. We have Garbulda, the iron-blooded, and her goblin brood. Thieves, bandits, and other ne'er-do-wells. inorganic or forgotten guardians and a rival dungeoneering party complete with hirelings. Nothing there says that we don't have undead, so I'm going to just say we've got undead here as well. Undead sort of guardians that are keeping track of everything. Maybe they are sort of like living extrapolations of the rot vine that is all over this place. So we're going to figure out the starting room really quick, and we're going to roll a d6 on that. That is a 1, a square, 40 foot by 40 foot, 3 corridors. The entrance was 1. Okay, so we can go over to our dungeon scrawl, and we said 40 by 40. So what we'll do is we'll just say that these are 10-foot squares. Now, Dungeoneering doesn't keep a super strict sort of like tracking of spaces, right? We don't usually say things like you can move a certain amount of distance, right? But we don't say like, oh, this creature is 10 feet away, right? We usually use like nearby, adjacent, you know, next to, melee range, ranged range, right? Like that kind of thing. So it's a little bit more loosey-goosey, a little bit more kind of a conversation between the players and the DM. That's just kind of how I like to play. So that's what the game is because I made it, right? It's the game I want to play. So we have a 40 foot by 40 foot. We'll just say it's 4 by 4 squares. We'll say every square is 10 feet. And we've got 3 corridors, right? 3 corridors. Entrance was 1. So what we can do is we can say that this was the entrance, right? And we can kind of like rough it up a little bit. Let's get the brush, which I believe is right here. Path tool. All right. And we'll just erase it. We'll rough it up a little bit, and we will kind of just go, oh, we don't want it to be snapped. No, we don't want that. We want to just go like that, rough it up quite a bit. Boom. We'll say that's the entrance. The entrance is collapsed because this is a sort of weird extra dimensional space. There's not like a main way to go in and out. Yes, Vortec, I love Dungeon Scrawl. I use it all the time. It is great to be able to just hop in here and, you know, just start doodling, get something kind of like in the, you know, on the page rather than in the mind. I just also realized because we're saying this is a sort of petrified forest labyrinth thing, why don't we switch it up to do that? Yeah, I like that style a little bit better. Kind of got like a stone bark kind of style here. And then we've got 3 corridors. The entrance was 1. So we're going to do 2 more. I'm going to roll a d6 and just divide it by 3 so I can figure out whether it's going to be on the western, eastern, or northern wall. So that's a 1. So we're going to say the western wall. We want that. We want that back on. And we'll do a corridor about there. We don't want to rough it. We just want to leave it off. Boom. Okay. And then we've got 1 more. So we'll just say D6, 1 through 3 is the northern wall. 4 through 6 is the eastern wall. And that is a 4. So it's going to be on the eastern wall. Nice and symmetric, which is going to be easy for us. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Okay. Now, one thing that we can do is we can go back to our things here and we can figure out the corridors, right? We can roll on some of these 2 corridors and we can figure out how long they are and what they're doing necessarily. So we'll do the west one first. So the corridor, we'll roll a d6. It's a 4. Winding 80-foot 2-side corridors and a secret door. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and erase this because we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Get the brush here or the path tool. Turn off snap. We'll rough it up a little bit. Maybe this is like a cavern that's been sort of carved out. We'll make this a little bit smaller. So something like, well, maybe it's a big creature that kind of carved through this. I like that a little bit better. It's a little bit more ominous. So we'll go kind of a winding sort of path. Yeah, something like that. And we'll rough it up a little bit so it looks a little bit more natural. Boom. That looks cool. And we will to our rectangle tool. And what did we say? We said it's a winding 80-foot 2-side corridors and 1 secret door. So maybe this kind of dugout area here actually bisects with a slightly larger section. So we can turn that off. We can say snap is on. two side corridors, so we can just roll 2 side passages here really quick. One is straight 100-foot lined with traps. Well, we already did say this thing was lined with traps, so we're just going to go 10. There we go. We'll just go ahead and clean that up a little bit. Boom. All right, we got 1 there. It's lined with traps, so we can actually go ahead and maybe we'll just remember that this is here, although we can't add some images. Maybe we can just do something for like a trap. Maybe we can find something. Let's see. Trap. Yeah, there we go. We'll just say that this thing is lined with traps, so we'll just leave that there so we can kind of have a little reminder for ourselves. And then the other corridor is going to be winding 80-foot ends with a door, hidden pit trap that falls to a lower level. Okay, so we have another winding path coming off of this. I kind of like maybe if this loops, so we can kind of have like maybe something like kind of goes around this way, connects back over here, but maybe we shouldn't make it too complicated. Maybe we should just have it be a little bit like this, something smaller. Maybe like some dungeoneers came through and kind of carved their own path off of this one. We'll want to rough it, and we'll say 80 feet, ends with a door. All right, so we'll go do, da. Kind of go this way. Rough it up a little bit. All right, and it ends with a door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit of a larger space. We'll say a 2x2 space, like that. Have a door right here. All right, so already kind of cool. We got this kind of secret spot here. We can say that these walls are all trees, right? So like this is impenetrable kind of going through here, and something sort of burrowed through the bark, but these trees are so dense together that this is just making it so very much like a stone wall that you're sort of walking around and through. We've got a door here. When we figured out that stuff, we've got the 2 side corridors checked, the 2 side passages checked. We have a secret door. Now, I think the secret door is possibly in this corridor here, right? Because we've already decided that there is a traps on that side, and there's nothing at the end of this. So maybe we can have a secret door. We'll do this long one to kind of indicate that this is a secret door. We'll just put it right there, because that could kind of go back into here. So maybe you want to risk it and go through all these traps to get to the same place, or maybe you want to kind of like wind your way through here to get there. Okay, so let's figure out these doors really quick. Let's see what these doors are like. We've got a doors table here. So the first one we'll say is for the non-secret door. There's a 1 wooden door unlocked. That makes it pretty easy. That's just a wooden door. Nothing too complicated about that. We'll go ahead and text here just so we can kind of wooden door, comma, unlocked. And then we'll definitely need to give this a little bit of a background. Or maybe we can just make this a little bit smaller. Not that small. There we go. All right. And we will go ahead and move that. If we can. Sweet. We can just do it with the keyboard. Pretty dark. Obviously, we're not going to print this or anything. This is just for our use, so we can just use that as is. We'll figure out the secret door now. We know it's a secret door, so it's already got 6, but I kind of am curious as to whether there's something else about it that we can maybe use. We've got a 4. It is a stone door that is locked. So it is a secret door. It's also a stone door, and it is locked. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. Secret door, or secret stone door locked. All right, and then I think we said that was 12-point font, so we can just go ahead and do 14 just so we don't lose it. Okay. Traps, we can figure out traps as we go along, but for now, I think we can probably figure out some more stuff here. I'm curious as to where this corridor goes. So let's figure out what kind of corridor this is. Got a 6. Winding, 40-foot, dead end, hidden pit trap that falls to a lower level. Oh, right, because I forgot that we had the lower level on the 80-foot winding. So we have a little bit of a thing here. So we'll probably need to do a little bit of a hole here. So let's go ahead and erase. And we'll say... we'll say that there's a hole here. Can I find a hole? Sinkhole? Hole. Perfect. That's what we want. We'll make this a little smaller. Right? We can even kind of keep an eye on that and make sure we know that that's hidden, right? Because we had a ends with door, hidden pit trap that falls to a lower level. Maybe we actually just put this around a corner. Yeah, there we go. So you're kind of walking along and then it's just like, whoop, dropped you down. All right, which means we're going to have a lower level. So we'll be rolling a starting location for that as well. But first we're going to come back over here to this side corridor. I had gotten a 6. So this is a winding 40-foot dead end hidden pit trap. All right. For ease of use, we're going to go and say path tool, draw, snap. That's good. And we'll say that this is a winding path. Kind of want it to come back around over here almost, right? Like I kind of want it to be like that. Yeah, okay. So then we've got this winding path. We have a pit trap, so we'll go ahead and add another hole. We'll say that that's down here. Look at that. Perfect. All right, and it's a pit trap. I think both of them are pit traps, right? Yeah, pit trap, pit trap. All right. So that's kind of what we got here, but we've got these 2 doors, right? We want to figure out where these doors go. So I'm just going to move that down for a second. And we're going to figure out a room. So we're going to do that. Roll D6. We got a 6. It's a circle, 100-foot diameter, 6 exits. My goodness. All right. So we're going to do that. Let's go to polygon. Let's bring it up to 12 because that's going to be mostly circular. We'll not rough it. We'll make sure that it's smooth because that's kind of more interesting. Maybe there was a large tree that was here that fell, right? And like, or got removed, extracted somehow by some eldritch being. That's kind of crazy. So we will do that. We'll snap it. So we'll say 100 feet. That's about 5, right? So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's huge, 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 huge. All right, so rather than do that, we're gonna go zoom out a bit. We're gonna go way over here, right? We want it to be a little closer, little closer. Maybe we can do one of these. 10. This is gonna be tricky. So we want it to be about here. Although, all right. On second thought, sometimes, when the room doesn't work the way that you want it to, if you're trying to like draw it out and it's just not working, you can just pick a different one. We picked a 100-foot diameter circle with 6 exits. That's pretty crazy. Maybe we can just do something a little bit simpler. We'll do a rectangle, 100-foot still. We'll do 4 exits. So we'll go ahead and do that just for ease of time because we are limited somewhat by time. So we're going to go 100. We said 10-foot squares. It's a rectangle. I don't know if we had specifically 100 by 20 feet. I see. Okay. So we're going to want it to be like that. So kind of more of a corridor than anything. That's interesting. And it's got 4 exits, right? So we've already got the 2 here. So we'll just have to do another one. And we'll make them, what kind of doors we're going to make them? 1, a wooden door unlocked. Okay, that sounds good to me. Maybe we'll just put it right here. And then we'll do another one. Dice. 2, and that will be a wooden door that's locked. Okay. do this one right across the hall. So when you first walk in here, you're like, oh, cool. And then it's locked. Where do these doors go? Let's find another room. 50 by 50 foot square with 0 exits. Maybe we can extrapolate that to be there's no exits once you enter it, right? Like you enter it and then it goes into, there's no other way out of it except for the way you came. So we can say 50 foot by 50 foot square. So that's going to be 5. That's perfect. That's exactly what we need. 5 by 5. Boom. All right. So far we've got kind of like start here. There's really all these places are going to the same location, right? This square up here, this square room. So maybe we can figure out that room and figure out what's there. So let's do a room purpose all the way in the upper right. 1 altar or sacrificial. Okay. Let's see if we can find an altar. Perfect. We'll do this one. I'll put that altar right in the middle there. Maybe we'll put it right in the middle so it's even weirder. Like, what does this altar do? And then we found this corridor. We could probably add something here too. 4 bath or toilets. Oh, okay. Maybe we've got like some. Do we have a trench? Can we do that? Wall. Alcove. Hey, that's good. Let's do that. Alcove. We'll do this one. We'll rotate it. Have it be like that. So we've got this sort of like area that people are using for toilets. So it probably stinks in here. It reeks. It's right next to the altar room. So whatever that means. Now, I think we're getting a little bit far away from what the original purpose of this dungeon was, which we kind of said it was a petrified forest of so on and so forth, which is okay. It's okay to start getting someplace and realize that like maybe your initial concept's not going to work the way that you kind of hoped it would, or the way that you had sort of thought it would at the beginning. That's okay. Maybe instead of the walls being this petrified forest, maybe like this is underground and petrified trees are growing through the ground and kind of like form this sort of like these barriers, right? So we could go through and we can have it be like, we'll do it roughed, 12 sides, draw a snap, yep. And we can just like have these just like pillars that are sort of like in the way of everything, which we can do like, oh, gotta turn erase on. So do like that. Do another one here. Do another one here. Do another one here. Do another one here. And we'll just kind of go through and just like add all these different things here. And these will be sort of like our strange trees that are growing. I think the altar room's gonna have a bunch of them, right? Of different sizes. Kind of like this massive like mural or something like all the way behind the altar. Maybe it surrounds the altar, gives it like a much more sort of throne sort of feel to it. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of cool. Boom. All right, so you walk in, you just see these like trees around this altar. That's kind of cool. I like that. Okay, what do we need to decide? We didn't decide what the purpose of this room was, but we kind of know it's an entrance. So this is the entrance corridor. This is the entrance here. We do know that this goes down here. So I think we've got 2 holes here. I think we can kind of move to the next area, but let's go ahead and add some numbers. So we've got 1. We'll say this is 1, 2. We'll say 2 is in here. 3, we'll say is, oops, probably like this whole area, right? So maybe we can kind of just do like that. 4 will be up here next to the traps because we're going to want that to be keyed. 5 be our toilet strange room. Put this over here so people can see that. And then we'll go 6. Got that there. And then 7, which we will make over here. So we've already got like a 7-room dungeon-esque thing, right? It's been 30 minutes. We don't have any monsters or anything, but we can generate those fairly quickly. We're in a weird space with nothing in it, you know, but we did decide that we're going to probably do some undead. So maybe we can kind of like, do we have any zombies or any like tokens that we can use? Nah, that's okay. We can say that maybe there's a monster. X. We can just have like a exclamation. Nope. Can't get any of those things. That's okay. We'll leave that as is. But we've got these 7 areas here, and we've got these 2 pits that go down to a lower level. So maybe we can just go ahead and build that now. We'll do the entrance, the starting room down here as well. Roll a d6. We got a 6. It's a rectangle 100 by 60 foot, 4 doors. Entrance was 1. Well, we're not using the entrance, so we're gonna just do 100 by 60 foot. So 10 by 6. And this is kind of down below, so I'm gonna rough it up a little bit so it looks like it's like maybe like a cavern. And then it's got 4 doors. So you've got a door. Figure out what kinds of doors first and foremost. Stone door unlocked. So we'll say boom. Another door. 3, another wood stone door unlocked. Boom. 3 again. So we'll do 1 there, and then we're rolling in another 1. 1. Okay, wooden door unlocked. Since that one's differentiated, I'll just kind of do a different thing here. You probably want to use a better system for keeping track of which doors are which, but for our sake, we're going to just kind of use that. So we've got 4 corridors here. I kind of like the idea that maybe this one, we already had us decided that the entrance to this was collapsed. Maybe the same deal is going on here. So like this door, once you get into it, it's pretty clear that there's not really a way to progress. So we can go like that, turn off the snap, and kind of just rough it up a little bit. There we go. So we know that that's not going anywhere. Okay, let's figure out some corridors. We've got a straight 40-foot ends with stairs. Maybe those stairs go up. Maybe we can figure out where we can put those stairs. Maybe there's stairs underneath the altar. That's kind of cool. Sort of hidden way. But we did say there was no exit from this room. That's okay. I think that we can add it. We've decided that there's some ways that we can kind of cheat around this. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do snap on, and we will go boom, boom. We just know that there's stairs behind the altar there. And then we can have this be a, what did we say it was? Straight 40-foot ends with stairs. That's right. So we'll go ahead and do this. 40-foot ends with stairs. We can say that those stairs go up there. So maybe what we can do is we can actually just kind of like go boom, boom, boom. We just know that those things connect. That's kind of nice. That ended up working out a lot better than I thought it would. All right, figure out another corridor. 5. All right, so that is a straight 10-foot ends with the locked door. All right, not too crazy there. It's literally just a 10-foot ends with a door. We'll just go ahead and say that this is a wooden door as well, because the one leading into it was a wooden door. Boom. Okay. All right. Now let's go for the last corridor, figure out what that is. That is going to be a Straight 40-foot corridor. So maybe just a dead end. Interesting. Maybe we can put a treasure here. If I can spell treasure. Do we have a better treasure? No. That's okay. We'll just know there's a treasure there. That one doesn't go anywhere. That goes back up to the top. I think that this hole, goes here. So we'll go ahead and copy that, do that there, and then we can connect those two things as well. Can we? All right. Select. Oh, so I'm doing the select tool. What am I doing? Okay, we'll turn dash on. We'll turn draw on. Rough off. We'll just kind of do one of these, so we know that those two things connect. Okay, we're gonna figure out a room for here. Figure out a room. This is gonna be a 50 by 50 square with no exits. What do we do? We already did that. So why don't we do a 100 foot by 100 foot with 2 exits? Because I like just the idea of having this massive room down at the bottom. So we'll say 10, 10. Oh, we want to rough that. Definitely. 100%. So 10 by 10. There we go. All right, so we've got this kind of massive space down here, and we've got that over there and this over here. So I think we can probably, what we can do is we can just copy this, paste it, and we can put it like that. That kind of looks right? That kind of looks like it's the same sort of area. Maybe this one goes down here, and maybe well, we already drew the line, so we'll just do that there. That's okay. Mythic Underworld. Geometry doesn't necessarily have to play a major role into it. But like already we've got a pretty good place here, and obviously we'll fill this in with detail and we'll kind of make things start to connect with like monsters and stuff, but like the actual generation of this has been fairly quick. And then we'll go to what is this room's purpose, right? 6. It's a workshop or forge. Do I have anything for that? Workshop? Do I have any like a anvil? Yeah, there we go. Put the anvil here. Table. Do one of those. Desk. Nah. Another table. We'll figure out another one. Go ahead and make a hammer, armory. Oh, wait a minute, armor. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we can have this guy be here. Do another one over here. Kind of like them bigger though, right? Yeah, there we go. Do that. Do that. Do this. That's kind of cool. So we've got this kind of room that's open here. We've got an anvil over here. We have like barrels that we can probably put in here. Barrels. Yeah, there we go. Do some barrels kind of around this. Crates. Some wooden crates. I can kind of throw back here as well. All right, and maybe we put this a little bit closer to there. That's there. So maybe this is a place where like people work and they kind of like, you know, build these things to go out. Maybe this creature that's like stealing all this stuff and putting things in this dungeon is like also sort of like making leaking stuff out of them. That's kind of cool. Tables are just there for optimism, right? This person doesn't have any visitors coming to their secret dimension, but that's fine. We should also figure out what the purpose is of this room, because we already had the entrance on the top floor. So this is sort of obviously also an entrance, but we can figure out what the purpose of it is as well. All right, armory or barracks. So that works out pretty well. We've got these guys already here. So we can kind of do one of these. We can do one of these. Do we have beds? Nice. Kind of do one of those. One of those. This one in the corner here, and another one there. Put them against the wall. You want to be able to walk 360 degrees around your bed. That doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, and we'll just know that this is, do we have like weapons? Weapon rack? Oh yeah, do we have one that kind of matches our style? Yeah, we do. Awesome. All right, so we can put one of these here. Put another one up there. Move that guy back. Do another rack. Do these kind of behind these guys. There we go. So we kind of know that that's sort of what that purpose of that room is. So there's kind of like a secret forge area underneath this kind of dugout area in the Petrified Woods. So I think this is kind of good. I think we can call this, let's see, did we do the square 100 foot by 100 foot? We had another exit. That's right. I forgot about that. So we can go ahead and we can do another exit. Maybe a little secret one behind the anvil. And we'll go, hopefully something small. Yeah, okay. 60 foot by 20 foot. That's fine. We'll just say 20 foot by 60 foot. It's kind of like this area back there. Kind of re-add this wall. Make sure it's not dashed. Come on now. There we go. All right. Got a secret room here. We can put another treasure in here, right? Yeah, we can. Actually, let's just do a bunch of coins. That's kind of cool. Maybe it's guarded by something. Sweet. All right. So we've got a pretty straightforward dungeon here. A little bit of some complexity here. Oh, it looks like there's some other people joining the chat as well. Looks like I'm seeing 4 people watching this now. Hello, welcome. We are in the process of finishing up this dungeon that we've generated here. It's 1:49. We've got about 10 more minutes. I figured we can kind of style the rest of it as we go. So we've got 7 keys on here. So let's go ahead and add number 8. We'll just make that the room down here. We'll do 9 be the sort of secret treasure room there. We'll have 10 be this massive room here. 11 be the secret room down here. So like I said, in a dungeon for dungeoneering, what I kind of describe as a dungeon is generally between 11 to 22 rooms over a couple levels. Dungeon usually can offer 1 to 3 sessions of play, depending on size, multiple factions of monsters, or slightly more elaborate objectives to complete within. So we've got an altar up here with some like petrified woods. We've got some kind of like burrowed out areas here. We've got these kind of massive trees that are like growing out of the ground, kind of sticking through the ceiling of the dungeon. So that's one level. And we've also got these 2 little pits here, one here, that kind of go to different spots. Oh, I should probably draw the dotted line before I forget. Dash on. We'll go ahead and do that. There we go. So we know that these 2 kind of pits go to these locations on the lower floor, and we'll just go ahead and add a large thing here. Make the font size pretty big. We'll go 50 or 60. Why not? First floor. Can we make that bigger? Can we make it 80? Yeah, there we go. And we'll do something a little bit cooler. There we go. That's pretty nice. So this is the first floor, and then we'll go ahead and do the second floor. Type that out, second floor. Which will go down over here. All right, so that's there. We've got our keys here. We can go through some of the other tables really quick on Wanderers to figure out how to populate this thing, because Dungeoneering has mostly like stuff that's in here, assembling the dungeon. We can stock it with non-combat encounters and some combat encounters. These are kind of more generalized, so some dungeon descriptions as well. But I think we can use some of the newer stuff that we got here. So let's go to Wanderers and let's figure out what like crazy magic treasure is here. Let's roll 2d10. So let me grab that. Eyeballed it, got it right away in my handy haversack of dice. So that's cool. We'll just roll 2d10. We'll figure out where we're at. Okay. Pretty good, pretty good. We are at, let's figure out how to read this. 15. Okay. So, let's go 1, 5. An adamantine chest holding captured frozen flame. Worth 7,500 gold pieces. That's pretty cool. So somebody maybe stole frozen flame, brought it into this weird sort of extra dimensional space and hid it away. Maybe that's actually what's at the altar, right? So we can kind of add a little marker there. We could say altar of the frozen flame. That's kind of cool. I like that. We can kind of put that there. And again, this is very rudimentary. I would go into, if I were to like give this as a, actual real thing that you could use in a book, I would style all of this in InDesign and use better graphics and stuff like that. But for our purposes, right, like if we were to make a dungeon for us to run and play in, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be something that we can refer back to and we can easily pick things out. So again, we've got, this wooden door unlocked, get the secret stone door locked. We can add some things down here as well. We know that this door is a wooden door unlocked. Well, that was a 12-point font. So we got one of those. Come on. There we go. I think down here was another wooden door. No, up here was a wooden door unlocked. And then down below was a stone door locked, which is perfect because this has the treasure in it. Stone door locked. All right. Then we can go into here and we can figure out maybe some of what this gold pile treasure is. So we can just roll a couple of these really quick. We got a 61. That is 6-1, a consecrated oath fulfilled and charged with holy power. Okay. All right. So maybe this whole place down here was actually, it belonged to someone, right? If we've got the frozen flame up here, the adamantine chest of frozen flame at the altar, maybe it's hidden underneath the altar and that's where the stairs are as well. You got to do some sort of sacrifice or something like that to unlock it. So we've got that up there, and then we've got this consecrated oath. Maybe somebody was charged with protecting this frozen flame, and then they sort of like failed at it, or something happened, right? And that's why there's no one here anymore, because that oath has been broken. But they still have the physical form, the actual, parchment or stone tablet or whatever this oath was inscribed upon, stuck in here. And somebody could take that and sell it, because that's capitalism, baby. Let's roll some more. Let's figure out what else is in here. 58. So we got a 5, and then we go down to 8. A flute of solid obsidian colored bone. Okay, all right. So we'll just add that in there. We'll just kind of have that be some. Well, you know what? We did talk about how there was sort of undead here at the beginning, didn't we? Maybe we put that up here. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe there is something here. Maybe the creature that, inhabits this place now is marshaling the undead with this sort of like bone flute, very like the Pied Piper sort of like, like, the undead are following around in a line or whatever, or they're being summoned to defend or something like that. So we'll just keep in mind that that's there. We would write that down in our notes. Let's go ahead and take a look at Catalyst with the last couple of minutes we've got here. As you can see, here's the table of contents. I just posted about this in our newest update the other day about the progress report, but we're going to go straight to the table. So that's 32. Scroll past all this cool stuff. I know. And you can figure out some stuff for some of these rooms. These are huge tables, guys. And these are not like those kind of fake D100 tables that are like, 1 through 10 is this and 11 through 30 is this. Like, these are individual, unique entries for each area, right? Like, I hate that, man. I hate when you roll like a D100 and it's like, 1 through 50, nothing happens. And you're like, this is a D20 list that you're just pretending is a D100 list. These are real D100 lists, right? Well, they're real 2D10 lists, but these give you actually 100 results and you don't have to figure out, does 00 mean 100 or, whatever. So you can just kind of go on there. So for example, we already decided that this was some sort of weird bathroom area, right? Like this was some sort of weird place where people could relieve themselves right before the altar of the frozen flame, whatever that means. Maybe we could, in post, we would probably edit that to not be a bathroom, but that's what we rolled up. So let's just go ahead and roll what the room feature of this area is. We have a 4, just, 10, and then 4. Sinking walls and ceiling, quicksand floor, relics half submerged. Maybe the frozen flame is kind of disintegrating the area around it. That's kind of cool. We could populate this little area with relics. Maybe there's some undead that are kind of like half stuck in it as well, and they're just kind of like grasping at like ankles and stuff, pulling people down to try to suffocate them. It's kind of cool. Let's go ahead and see a dungeon hazard. This one's pretty good. We can figure out, we already decided there's some quicksand nightmares in here, but this whole area was trapped. And we never figured out what those traps were. Now you can go back to Dungeoneering and you can go all the way back past the spells, past the prayers to the trap section. And you can figure out what kind of traps you want to do if you want a more concrete trap. But if you just want a trap, AKA a hazard, we can just go ahead and roll that up. Let's roll one up. And that is a 57, so a 5 and then 7. Large pools of carnivorous starving fish. All right, since we rolled a 5 and a 7, let's see what the other one is. 5 on the vertical, 7 on the horizontal. Statue speaking the voices of those present. Ooh, I don't like that. That's ominous. Yeah, we can just like add a statue. Right, maybe we have a statue that's all the way at the end. Completely shrouded in darkness, right? Can't see it when you're over here. Like this whole place, I imagine, is completely pitch black, and you're walking in here, and then you kind of just hear like your allies' voices, right? Or like, hey Jim, down here, I found blah blah blah, and you're like, if you're not thinking, right, you're like, oh okay, cool, and you start heading down there. If you take like 2 seconds, you can be like, wait, isn't Jim right next to me? Yes, he is. Oh, that's weird, right? But if you're not thinking, you're like, oh, I just follow the voice, right? Or you're separated, right? Like one person went this way, and one person went this way, then all of a sudden you got yourself a little bit of a trick here. So we got that. Let's roll another dungeon hazard just so we can see if there's anything else that's in this place. 47. So let's go 4, 7. Echoing, disorienting laughter. That's good, but not really what we're looking for right now. So we're gonna go 4, 7. Patches of the floor, giving way to illusions. That's kind of nice. So you can kind of have like some more holes here that maybe lead to this level, or you could have, if you wanted to like kind of keep going, right? Make this like a 3-level dungeon or whatever. You could add a 3rd level, and those illusions go straight down to the 3rd level, and you'd obviously take some fall damage on that way, or maybe you land in a big patch of, comfy sort of like vegetation or something. But it's also rot vine, which is what we decided earlier when we first rolled up this place. So things are starting to kind of percolate. Things are starting to get to come together. What initially starts as like a sort of grab bag, a little mishmash of too many different ideas, you can kind of start to like work through the process. Just trust that the process is going to see you through, and just, we would obviously jot this down if we were actually going to run this. But we jot this down, we figure out kind of some things, we like write some question marks on the side, rotvine, question mark, echoing laughter, question mark, right? Stuff like that. And then we kind of can come back, and as we're filling things in, we can say, oh, right, if I have these guys drop down to a 3rd floor onto some patches of vegetation, I already said that the rotvine is going to be here. Let's bring the rotvine in, right? Now the rotvine eats corpses, but, if someone's bleeding or dying, right? Maybe the rotvine doesn't really know the difference, so the rotvine's trying to pull them down, Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone style, just kind of choke them and suffocate them. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, and then let's see what else we can do. You know what? Let's roll a strange inhabitant. Let's see who's here. Maybe someone else is here who's doing some weird stuff. Strange inhabitants are kind of cool because they're all named after animals, right? So you'll see like Briska the ferret or Piv the meerkat, right? Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they are anthropomorphic, Humblewood, Wanderhome style creature people. It could just mean that like they are human and they have traits like, physiological or just, metaphorical or whatever, right? Like they have traits that remind someone of a certain animal. So if we were to roll one up, 84. So let's go 8, 4. And this is Cake the Quail, selling small eggs with mystical runes. So that's a good one. That's 8 and 4. Let's go 8 vertical and 4. Harno the Walrus, philosopher pondering the mysteries of water. Now we did decide frozen flame. That could just be flame that's frozen in time or place, metaphysically speaking. Or it could be flame that is literally frozen in water, right? Like that would be kind of cool. And maybe this, Harno the Walrus is here trying to figure this out. And maybe he's not a literal walrus with tusks and the whole and the mustache and everything. Maybe he's just like a bigger guy, right? Who has a commanding presence. Maybe he's got 2 blades, or just like big scarf, like an ivory scarf that kind of hangs down his chest and looks like from a distance, right? He's got a big bushy beard, big bushy mustache, and from a distance kind of looks like 2 long tusks or something. So you can kind of play around with these ideas and not like stick to them too tightly, right? Keep everything a little loosey-goosey, and you can just kind of go from there. I like that Harno the Walrus kind of just being around. Ingredient words aren't going to come up too much because we don't have an alchemist. Monuments and statues, we did figure out that one statue is speaking in the characters' voices. Is there anything else interesting about them? We also have a bunch of statues downstairs in the 2nd floor. Now, those could just be suits of armor, or they could be 33 blind oracles offering cryptic visions of the future when sacrificed to. That's probably a little overkill. Maybe we don't have all of them do that. Maybe we just have one of them do it, and maybe instead we have them be animated armor challenges any opponents with might mod 7 or higher. So any strong like berserker, knight, warrior kind of person who walks past them, maybe they animate immediately and just start attacking, right? And then the party's like, what the hell happened, right? Or the thief is going in, it's like, it's totally fine, they're just normal pieces of armor. And then as soon as a strong person walks in, they animate, and it's like, what the hell, man? You said that these were fine. And he's like, they were fine. That's kind of cool. You could do abandoned campsites as well. That's kind of cool. We could just roll one up really quick. 98, pretty high up there. So we're looking at hollow behind cascading waterfall. We don't have a waterfall. So we're just going to go 9 and 8. Rudimentary dungeon model, map fragments, broken compasses, and a single boot lies in the dirt. That's kind of cool. Maybe there's a room like right in the entrance, right? That's like a little diorama of the dungeon itself. you know? So it's kind of like, wait, what? Like, did someone design this and we're just walking through it? And why is there a boot here? Did they like leave in a hurry or were they taken? Right? That sort of thing. That's kind of cool. And then monster traits. If we were to put some monsters in here really quickly, we wanted to just have some undead and stuff. Obviously, this is meant to be used with the necromancer because the necromancer has the ability to summon undead, and they kind of retain an ability. The GM is meant to kind of look at this list and decide which ability there are. But you could also use this to generate your own sort of monsters if you didn't want to build like a concrete stat block ahead of time. You could say like, oh, it's a this is an undead. It's not like a humanoid skeleton. It's a 81. It is a 8-1 is telepathic, or maybe it is 1-8. It can jump between different planes temporarily, right? So yeah, pretty cool stuff. We would obviously flesh this out a little bit more, and it probably wouldn't take as long once you start to kind of get used to the idea of like what's here. You can obviously also add your own sort of tables to the core tables that are available in Dungeoneering, Wanderers, and Catalysts, right? You can add more things. If in Dungeoneering you're like, you know what, 6 room features or room purposes, not enough for me. I need like 100 of those, right? Well, you could roll on the room features table in Catalysts, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Or, you could obviously make your own lists and roll on those as well. The key takeaways from building a dungeon in Dungeoneering is that it is meant to be quick. It's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be something that is like concrete, rock solid. I'm about to build this dungeon and then I'm going to sell it on Drive-Thru RPG. It's meant to be more like, we got a game in 2 hours. 2 of us drop, so we can't run our normal campaign. We still want to play something that's like a dungeon crawler. You can just pick up Dungeoneering, roll some stuff. In an hour, you can have a dungeon that's got some pretty whack stuff in it, right? Like we've got like this Altar of the Frozen Flame. We've got like some treasures. We have a consecrated oath that is like stuck in this treasure hoard. We've got these statues and armors that are like challenging people who are mighty and strong, and you can just kind of let those things sort of like percolate in the air, right? You don't even have to figure out all that stuff right ahead of time. You just kind of get the meat and potatoes down, what doors are locked, is it dark here, what monsters are there, so on and so forth. And the players come in and they go like, oh, the Altar of the Frozen Flame. What if it sounds like something came here and then did blah, 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 blah. And you're like, you know what? That sounds great. That is what happened because that's cool as hell, so you can kind of just go that way. Yeah, but that's building a dungeon in Dungeoneering. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy going on with it. And really all you technically need, and I say need, right? You could obviously, any GM who's been doing this for a while can build a dungeon virtually in their head with no tools whatsoever. But if you're going to use Dungeoneering, you're going to use the whole rule set, blah, blah, blah. Only thing you really need are the core rules, right? Because they talk about what is a dungeon, and then everything is sort of framed around like the things that are set down in this book. But then if you want to increase your options for those things, you can go to Wanderers and you can start rolling on those tables as well. And you can maybe pick one of the weirder dungeon types here, right? For example, you could do the Strange, and you could find it that it is a asteroid labyrinthine warrens carved within. And who occupies it? Well, of course, it's the living bones of Bamash, first against reality. Of course. What rewards are there? Well, I'm so glad you asked. It's a cape of many scintillating colors fluttering windlessly. And then which old god watches this place? Well, obviously, we already decided that the living bones of Bamash are here. So it only makes sense that Katalkal, eldest of elders, is also here, right? So you can kind of tweak it, play around, have some fun, and yeah. And then once you get all that stuff done in Catalyst, you can use the innumerable options that are available on these D100 tables to really just kind of flesh it out and give some exciting new features to all of those things. That is it, friends. That's all I've got today. If you were here to watch this live, thank you so much for checking it out, and thank you so much for potentially backing catalysts, wink wink, maybe, huh? It's over on BackerKit, limited time. The price is gonna be so low for so long, and then it's gonna be full price, and you have to buy it through itch or drive through or whatever, and you won't get a physical copy until I decide to update my shop, which may take a while because I'm not great at that. I'm really good at the fulfilling and making sure that everybody gets their products if they backed it and pre-ordered it and so on and so forth. If you missed it and you want to buy the product, I am not the best at like putting it in a place that you can buy it, unless you want to buy it digitally, in which case it'll be on itch and drive through RPG pretty much from the beginning of March. Like as soon as the backers get their PDFs and digital files, it'll be on itch and drive through shortly thereafter. Honestly, for a slightly higher price than you would have gotten for the backer as a backer. So back today if you want to get that lower price, or wait a year or two until it goes on sale. Up to you. It's your money. I'm not your dad. Do whatever you want. But I would recommend that you get it for cheap during the BackerKit, the campaign that was going on right now until the end of the month. Friends, that's it. That's all I got. That's building a dungeon in Dungeoneering. If you are watching this later, you're not somebody who watched this while it was live. First of all, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. You probably had something going on, or you just didn't want to watch a live actual thing. I'm that way. I hate actual plays in terms of, I make actual plays sometimes, and I hate them. I hate doing them. I hate watching them. I can't. Every single time I do it, I'm like, oh, I'd rather be playing. I don't want to watch. I want to play, right? I want to be in the seat. So that's my whole thing. But if you're watching this later, thank you for watching it. I appreciate it. And hopefully my ramblings in my kind of word association is not too annoying for you. If you have missed the BackerKit campaign, there will very likely be a way to pre-order some of these books. Or if you want to just get Wanderers and Dungeoneering, basically everything except for Catalyst, if you want to get that right now, download the PDFs and play them today, you can do that by going to grinningsrat.itch.io, or you can go to DriveThruRPG and just look up Dungeoneering or Dungeoneering Wanderers or Grinning Rat Publications. That's our company. Buy them from there. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for backing, and thank you so much for playing. I hope you have a wonderful week. Hope you are not as cold as I am. It has decided to snow today after a week and a half of not snowing. So I have that to look forward to. This is a very long goodbye, and I am typically not known for that. So I am going to cut this stream now. Thank you so much for playing and watching and all that other good stuff. Goodbye.